Hello, I am Sue Shapcott from Change Golf Instruction in Madison, Wisconsin, and this week we're going to talk about a mental skill, how you can stop a good round going bad after just one shot.
Yes.
Okay, so we are joined again by Dr. Kris Eiring, who is a sports psychologist here in Madison, Wisconsin. And we want to talk about how you can manage your self-talk during the round when things start to go south. I have 2 or 3 people a week say to me, you know, Sue, I was doing well, I was practicing well, I got to the 4th hole and I hit one bad shot, and all I could hear in my head was, here we go again. I'm going to mess up this round. And so that one bad shot ended up spiraling into a bad round, and then bad 2 rounds, a bad week. So, you know, we know that golfers are really good at pulling themselves down after one bad shot. And so obviously it's not their technique that is dramatically changing. It can't change so much from one shot to another.
Right.
So it's not my problem, the swing coach. So it's more of a mental skill training that I think is going to help golfers manage this.
It can be. I think we have so much self-talk. The Navy SEALs talks a lot about how we dialogue in our heads and how that perpetuates stress or actually can calm us down. And so we talk about self-talk as a primary mental tool that we can actually get better at. So when we have negative dialogue like Sue's talking about and we feel like we can't recover, we can actually change that dialogue. That's a skill. That's not something that, you know, person A has and person B doesn't. I actually work with people to get better at that. But sometimes it's like knowing, and first step is actually recognizing that I have this pattern. I had one golfer say to me, he had one bad shot, and he started to add up his score from then on, right? And that future time hasn't even happened yet. So it's sort of like predicting the future, and that's where I think we start to go wrong, because lots of fear comes up then, and it's like, oh, I don't want that to happen to me. And I'm sure you've experienced that yourself when you were golfing.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember rounds where even now, 20, 30 years later, I'd look back and I think, you know, if I had just kept my head and kept going, I would have had a really good finish. A tournament would have finished differently, but I let one bad shot just derail me and then start pushing too hard or thinking, now I've blown it. Whereas in fact, if I'd had one bad shot, paid a penalty, got the ball back in play and then carried on, then things would have been very different. But like one bad shot, I felt I had to do something heroic to recover, or I thought, here we go again. And you know, just my response to one shot made a difference between winning and losing a tournament, or, you know, a good finish and a not so good finish. And it's really interesting how we give one shot so much power.
Right, one shot. It really doesn't define you, right? And it's knowing if you can stop that impulse to recover immediately, you know, and look at it more as a pause, and I'm going to recover as I go along. That's a much better approach, I think, is what you're saying, is don't try right away to solve and get better and punch through. It's like pause. So sometimes even working with golfers to recognize that you want your head where your feet are. And so if that shot took place here and you're walking on to the next shot, you want your head to go with you. You don't want to stay with that bad shot. You want to refocus and pivot to what you have to do in the moment. Again, that's what mindfulness is for athletes, is how do I be most present for my next shot. So sometimes even like hearing the golf club go back in your bag and say the words to yourself, leave it. It's just a tool. It's not the end all and be all, but leave it. Now move on to this next shot, make a better play. That dialogue is so much better than getting yourself rattled like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to do good. I can't believe my game's going to go down. That actually raises your stress hormone. And that's what sort of causes us to speed up or get tight. And so if we can pause and remind ourselves, I can manage this, and then use our self-talk internally to remind ourselves to manage it. That's the best way to go about this.
I know, it's so one bad shot doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad round. One bad shot doesn't mean that you've lost your technique that you've been working on. One bad shot doesn't say anything about you as a golfer, both now and in the future. So, you know, just trying to think through, okay, one bad shot, I'm just going to stick to my process, whatever that process is, whether it's a swing thought that you have, a pre-shot routine that you have, and not let yourself get derailed just by one bad shot.
And I think you're saying something that we have to really remember is we get to choose our focus, and how we talk to ourselves inside our head helps with that. And so if we want our focus to be on our next shot in the routine of that pre-shot routine, we can tell ourselves, this is what I want you to do. Like, talk back to your head. That's okay internally. You might even do it 1,000 times to say, get here, get to this shot. And that's okay, that's a muscle. And you're gonna get better at that the more you practice that. And then that grows your confidence to see yourself, know that you can pause and come back, in a decent way.
With golfers who I've worked with today, then I've talked a lot about, part of changing their swing is developing awareness of how their body is moving. And it seems to me that this is a lot of the same thing. So having awareness of how you're reacting to a bad shot, how that then changes your behavior in the future.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's actually changeable.
Yes.
Right? If we know we have a pattern, we can actually change patterns. And so people think that, oh, I can't do that. That's really hard. This always happens to me. That's not really true. Like Sue was saying, you can change your shot. You can change the way you swing. You can change the way you think. And you can change the way you react to a bad shot.
Fantastic. All right, Chris, thank you very much. I hope that gives you some food for thought. So next time you hit a bad shot and your round is going well, then, have some reflection on what that bad shot means, which is not much, and just kind of keep going with your round. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Sue.